Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we talk about the film The Nighthouse.
My husband took the boat out on the lake. He took a handgun that I didn't even know that we owned, and
real quick before we get into this, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, because that really does help this channel out so much. Alright, so I just got back from the theaters checking out the brand new film, The Nighthouse. And I went into this with very low expectations. Just from the trailer, I was expecting kind of a cookie cutter, a little bit slow burn, but kind of cookie cutter, you know, haunted house, ghost type of shit, like we've seen so much in the last few years. But damn, was I surprised when I started watching this movie. And yes, it does start out pretty damn slow. So at first I was kind of thinking, okay, here we go. Another one of these really slow burn, like, you know, kind of lull you to sleep. On top of that, I was very, very tired. I had a really long day. But then it gets rolling. And I was shocked at how compelling and captivating this movie becomes. It is so atmospheric and just absolutely creepy as fuck. This movie is very, very dark, so I highly recommend seeing it in theaters because it just really has this atmosphere that's just awesome. But if you do watch it at home at some point when it's streaming or whatnot, that's fine, but just make sure your lights are out, because this is one of those movies that really needs you to be fully invested in what you're watching. So this film stars Rebecca Hall, and I think she absolutely kills this role. She does so good in this. And it's one of those movies that has a very small cast. There's only really 4 characters that are involved in this, but she is by far the most important because the whole movie really centers around her experience and what's going on with her. So just to give you an idea of what the story's about, don't worry, I'm keeping this very much spoiler free, but just to give you an idea, it's basically about this woman who is dealing with the loss of her husband who recently committed suicide. And just trying to get her head around it because there was no signs that he was depressed. There was no signs that anything was going on like that. And then all of a sudden he just turns up dead. In the beginning of this movie, it's very sad and very morose and just feels very depressing in a lot of ways. You really feel this movie through her. They also do a really good job with cinematography and the lighting and just also giving it just this real washed out, bleak feel to it. And then the movie gets rolling. And you realize there's much more to this movie than just this slow, sad, dread-filled situation. There's definitely more to this whole story. And she starts to kind of get into this mystery and, you know, trying to figure out what the deal is. And it twists and turns all through this crazy story of slowly finding out who her husband was, what was his deal, all these different things that I'm not going to spoil, but it gets very, very twisted and very, very demented, man.
you were right. There is nothing. Nothing is after you. You're safe now.
This movie gets so creepy, has some absolutely terrifying moments in it. At least in my experience, man, I don't get scared very often. Like, pretty much ever. But this movie got me a few times. Like, you just really find yourself in this dark room with this woman, experiencing these emotions through her and feelings, and it just really is an extremely well done movie. I was so shocked. Like, I can't tell you how much I was shocked that I really, really, really liked this movie. Because about a third of the way through this movie, I'm like fighting to just stay awake. Because like I said, I had a really long day, and this movie really takes its time to kind of pull you into this world.
It's our house. But backwards. What the hell was he doing?
Which later on you'll be grateful for, because you just really kind of feel these characters, especially her, and really this whole environment and the love between her and her husband. They just do a really good job of flushing all of that out. And so that time of lots of dialogue slowly building is worth it. But I was struggling with it. And then my little antenna perked up when I realized that they were starting to pull into this different direction. And there was more going on here than just this normal cookie cutter ghost story. There was something very demented, very creepy and disturbing, and then also very unique, especially by the end. This movie had me so captivated because there was just something very, very different feeling about it and about the antagonist and just this movie in general. It just has a very fresh feel about it, and I was so happy to see that. So this movie was done by David Bruckner, who also did a movie I'm a huge fan of called The Ritual that's over on Netflix. So if you've never checked that out, I highly recommend you guys check that out too. It's a little more of a creature feature, but once again, like the atmosphere and everything he built in that movie, and this isn't a Ritual review, but I'm just recommending it because I advise checking that out because it's free on Netflix if you have Netflix. And if you really enjoy that movie like I did, then I think you will definitely enjoy this movie too. No matter what, I do recommend going to see this in theaters.
You were right. There's nothing. There is nothing.
It isn't a big boom, explosions, anything like that. It's much more of a slow burn, very creepy, that gets terrifying at times and just really pulls you into this environment. But don't go into it expecting like a big blockbuster summer kind of thing, because it's not that kind of movie at all. I also don't recommend you have children or even really teenagers watch this movie, not because of blood or gore or nudity. It doesn't really have that stuff, but because of just how deep and dark and, you know, disturbing this movie goes. I mean, it deals with suicide, which it delves really into that, and so that's bothersome of its own, but there's a lot of other stuff that I can't talk about without ruining things, but it just gets very, very disturbing, and I think younger minds would either get bored or just be bothered by a lot of the stuff that they're seeing and whatnot. Anyway, that's my review of this movie. I really did enjoy it and do highly recommend it.
Safe for what?
But that's going to do it for me today. Please leave your comments down below. Let me know if you've checked it out and what you thought, or if you plan to go check it out. And also, if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this, or at least I try to, 2 times every week. And I also want to give a huge, enormous, massive thank you to my patrons, because seriously, guys, your support really, really means so much to me. Like, you have no idea. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron, the link is down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, say it with me now, horror can be fun. I will see you guys next time.